What's up guys, Houndish here, and today I wanted to do a top 5 PvP primaries for Destiny. At this point in the year we kind of all know what's going on with weapons in PvP, but this is going to be my opinion, my favourite 5 primaries for the Crucible, and this is also relevant because for the rest of the summer these are really going to be the power players in PvP, that is until the Rise of Iron launches, where we're likely to see a whole bunch of weapon balancing as well as the influx of new gear to the DLC itself. So let's get into it for now. So in at number 5 it's going to be the last word for me. So this weapon has had a lot of changes over the past few months. We've seen it nerfed and buffed back to power. The most recent change to the weapon saw its hipfire bonus damage removed, but after some settling time, I think the last word is doing its job pretty well right now. With well placed shots it's still very viable at that close and medium range, and within its shotgun countering range it remains a very capable weapon. It's super powerful and satisfying to use, but I gotta say, choosing this particular weapon has been really difficult. Until the recent changes to hand cannons, and in particular Hawkmoon, I would have probably chosen Hawkmoon for this spot, but I find it a lot harder and less satisfying to use after the patch, that's patch 2.3, and with the last word still being a very unique weapon, I felt that it really deserved a top 5 spot for now. Up next is going to be the Doctrine of Passing. So this has been one of the most notorious weapons inside of Year 2 and remains super powerful to this day inside of PvP. So the June patch hit the Doctrine's DPS by around about 6%, which is the largest change to the archetype to happen so far. But is it still good? Well, I think we know the answer to that, and it's yes! The weapon is super effective in close range and it can still perform very well with a steady hand in most medium range engagements. The weapon does great damage and has a low time to kill, but for me, one of the overarching elements of this weapon has to be the flinch or the screen shake that it causes. A vast amount of its efficiency comes from this flinch, as it can be incredibly difficult to counter when used effectively. Every round from a weapon causes some kind of flinch, and with a 100 rate of fire weapon this is going to be pretty nasty. It's not as powerful as it once was, and there are certainly less of them in PvP, but it's still a top tier weapon, certainly the most viable AR in most cases in my opinion. So Mitre multi-tool is up next, and this thing is still fantastic in the Crucible. The removal of high caliber rounds has made it a little bit less obnoxious to fight against, especially for snipers, but in terms of damage and accuracy, it remains very strong. The great thing about this weapon is its flexibility. For me, it's still the most reliable scout rifle in close range engagements due to its unique stats. It's a 42 rate of fire and 38 impact scout rifle, and on top of this, it has incredible handling. In medium long ranges, it's an absolute powerhouse. And as most weapons start to drop off at range, the Mitre can still perform very well. The tactile handling of the weapon is certainly one of the main attractions. It's a satisfying weapon and definitely one of the top few exotics for PvP. It's still a beast. But in at number 2, it's going to have to be the Grasp of Malak. So this is the highest rate of fire type of pulse rifle, the 77 rate of fire and 4 impact variety, and its popularity has literally grown over time in Year 2, especially since in June when we had an insane opportunity to farm for great rolls, and now you see a hell of a lot of Grasp of Malaks in PvP. It feels like the meta supports the fast firing weapons more than anything, and Grasp is no exception. It shreds enemies up close with its high rate of fire, but it also has remarkable range with the right bonuses. You can cross-map shred people with this thing. I rock one with counterbalance and braced frame, and it still has really good range, even though those stats are knocked off by braced frame. And at this point on the list, I would say that Grasp is probably my favourite weapon, but for general use, it's safe to say that this weapon's performance is more influenced by the role than some other weapons. Still, Grasp is an absolute top tier weapon for PvP. And for the number 1 slot, it's gotta be the Ciroc Hawksaw or the PDX-45, and these are essentially identical weapons to each other. This archetype is immediately below the Grasp at 73 rate of fire and 7 impact, and both the Hawksaw and PDX are incredible solid pulse rifles which come with some very strong base stats, which buffed by bonuses turn these things into absolute top tier killing machines. Probably the single most popular type of pulse rifle in Year 2. They have a great balance of rate of fire and impact, which is great for handling close range engagements, but also they work very effectively at that longer medium range engagement as well. And everything else aside, you can buy a near god roll of the Hawksaw from the Crucible vendor, which is a big plus. If you were grinding for a roll that good on a Grasp, it could take days in the Nightfall, or anything else you could literally be grinding for months, so this is definitely a big plus side for the weapon. The PDX is my personal favourite. I have fitted stock, Headseeker and Small Bore, and it's simply awesome for PvP. So there you go, guys. That is my opinion of the top 5 PvP weapons. These are the weapons I like to use the most inside of the Crucible. So let me know down below what you think are the top tier weapons for PvP. If you've enjoyed the video, a like is always appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button to see a lot more Destiny content. But for now, you guys have an awesome day.